All right, so that's lovely. Now, let's begin. So, text completion, single versus multiple blanks. Now, this specifically happens to be our question type in GRE. So, one we have already done in the previous session, that is sentence equivalence. So, we had to replace the words. Now comes in sentence completion. This is a classic fill in the blanks question, right? However, there are three types that happen. So, very quickly, the question format and what are your core skills that will be tested in this sort of a question. For those who are not preparing for GRE and happen to be a part of this session, for you also, this particular exercise is very fruitful. Yes, you can practice it for strengthening your vocabulary. And if your exam particularly has fill in the blanks or vocabulary based questions, so this would be a good exercise for you. So now coming back to GRE, in the text completion question can come in three formats: one blank, two blank, or three blanks at the max. So now what is to be done? You have to choose the words or the phrases correctly according to the blanks that are there. And now what happens here? Three things. When you have your fill in the blanks, either it will be one or it will be two or three. If it comes to two or three, multiple blanks, in that scenario, you're not going to get any partial credit. So if you have three fill in the blanks, till the point or like unless all those three blanks are filled in correctly in the correct combination, you do not get the numbers. Okay. So you have to be very careful with this one. While sentence equivalence was a little easier in the sense that you could simply do elimination. You could choose the best fitting replacement that was there, keeping the meaning intact, so it was easier to reach to that conclusion. Here, that thing is not going to happen. One blank, it's fine, yes or no. But then two or three blanks in that scenario, even if one of the blanks goes wrong, your entire score is null for that. So you're getting nothing. So here it's all about, it boils down to the idea that whether you know the word or not. And more than the meaning of the word, here the context becomes important. So text completion and reading in a way are very close when it comes to contextual understanding of things. Okay. Now, three things get tested here: core skills, vocabulary, and grammar. Yes, so of course, here because you are not getting any options, you do not know the sense entirely which is happening in sentence equivalence. So here you need to know the word and the meaning that is there. Why do we need grammar? For a very basic reason. Let it be a singular blank or multiple. Looking at your sentence at times, if you are especially in situations wherein you have to choose combinations particularly, you should be able to read the sentences in relation with one another. So there are a lot of connectors, conjunctive adverbs that are used, phrases that are used, because of which you get a clue as to in what sense the next blank must follow. So grammar comes in. Then we have context analysis. So yes, of course, all the three blanks that are going to be there or two blanks. Now again, the fill in the blanks are not going to stand in isolation. In the sense that while if supposedly you have instead of a very long sentence, you have two, three sentences coming together as a small paragraph or a passage. So in that scenario, it's very important for you to understand how the sentences are relating to each other and then based on that choose the words. In order to confuse you, they might do this that because in all of the blanks you're going to get choices. Right now, when we practice or we simply do the questions, I'm not going to provide you a lot of choices here. Yes, but then when it comes to your GRE exam, if you have, let's say, three to four blanks, for each and every blank, you're going to get four to five options to choose from, or three options to choose from, three each or four each, and then you have to choose. So they might give you very closely aligned words, just like we were discussing in sentence equivalence. So here also they might do this, that if you look at the sentence standing alone, multiple words can become an ideal fit for that particular sentence or that particular part. But the moment we take the entire thing together, then only one particular thing is going to fit. So, contextual analysis. Logical reasoning comes in the sense that, of course, when you have to estimate what will be the correct blank and you are lending sense to the entire sentence, so of course, logical reasoning is an implied thing that is going to be evaluated. So, is the question format and the skills that are tested clear to everyone? Yes? All right. Now we move forward. So, what is the approach that we follow? Very basic. Yes, we have to remember these things. Read for the main idea and tone. So, essentially, here again comes in the role of paraphrasing. So, I had discussed paraphrasing previously as well. Can anybody very quickly summarize that for me? What is paraphrasing?
Paraphrasing is basically a process in which we uh, take like some sentences and phrase them into a concise manner in which that part can represent the whole.
Okay, that is summarization, dear.
Ma'am,
Paraphrasing is,
sorry, yeah,
hmm,
rephrasing the sentence given in more, let's say, easier words that we can understand.
yes, absolutely correct.
Ma'am, I think it's interpretation of what you are understanding in your own words and understanding.
Yes, correct. Very good. It's a mix of everything. Yes, interpretation is one thing. Yes, interpretation is a part of it, but then, of course, your interpretation has to be correct. So,
Yes.
for it, in order for that to be correct, the one thing that really needs to happen is rephrasing. Yes. So, like Vishal also pointed it out, that rephrasing the thing in simpler words at times can do the trick for us. So, we are not straying away from the idea suddenly. First, we are rephrasing and seeing that are we able to convey the same meaning, and then, of course, we interlace that with interpretation. At times, if we directly focus on interpretation, our paraphrase sentences can go wrong,
Yes.
right? So something is given, and essentially now it's coming in our own words. The sense remains intact. So this thing is very important to do when it comes to text completion, because here you're looking out for the missing idea. So you're not replacing the words, you are finding the word itself to make the sense complete. So you have to read for the main idea and the tone. Focus on the tonality. What is the tonality of this entire bit? Is it satiric? Is it plain? Is it assertive? Is it rhetoric? What is the tone in which sentence is given? Next comes in finding clue words. Now, what are clue words? Like I just mentioned, that there will be phrases, perhaps, or there will be adjectives or connectors or adverbs that will be given, because of which you will get a clue. It could be phrases as well, right? So, let's say if I end up having a sentence that starts with despite, now you know that a contrary idea is going to follow, right? On one hand, on the other. That is happening, you know that there are two contradicting things that are coming together. Furthermore, nonetheless, every word is coming with a particular idea. So you have to look for clue words and phrases if any of them are there. Yes. Then this is very important. Predict before seeing answer choices. Now, this is something I always suggest when it comes to any fill in the blank question. So what happens, our go-to trick to do, of course, when we are solving our papers and when we are completing our exam is that I'll just open, I'll look at my question, I'll look at my options, and I'll try to do the best fit, and that's it, that's done. But in text completion, this can be confusing, especially in the case of multiple blanks. That is where you end up requiring more time as well. So why before looking at the choices, you should just very quickly paraphrase and try to come up with a meaning that what the sentence is trying to say. So what sort of words am I looking for? That will really help you out. And then you look at your options, because especially when it comes to multiple blanks, this can get a little too confusing. And the main catch is because your combination needs to be correct. So even if you're partially right, you're not going to get any marks. So these kind of questions do end up taking more time, right? So here again, I'll come back to the idea that I was discussing, that you have to practice daily, and if not daily, start doing it regularly. Text completion questions require time when it comes to speed. You might be able to do sentence equivalence quickly. Text completion is going to take time. Okay. And then match options to the prediction, of course. Then that is the last activity. Now you already have your set, you've paraphrased, you've read the sentence in your own way, focused on the main idea, then looked at your options, and then you have to match the correct options. So do not look for any word or choose any word that is making sense in isolation. If there is a combination that you do come up with, my suggestion is always read it out twice in your head. Be 100% sure that yes, this is the combination I'd like to go for. That is when the probability of getting this section correct would be good. Because even in your exam, there are multiple times when students have been able to score in reading and sentence equivalence but end up losing marks because of text completion. So this happens to be the more dicier section when it comes to verbal. All right. Here it's not about the speed. Here it's more about getting the correct answer. All right. In reading, it's going to be a testament of your speed. Here it's more about getting your combinations correct. Right. Now, we're going to solve some questions very quickly. We'll be discussing them. Vishal, can you please read out the sentence for me?
Yes, ma'am. Though the initial reviews were dash, the film ultimately gained a large following and achieved cult status.
All right.
Options are the disappointing, mixed, promising, glowing, and
Inconclusive. Correct. Now, very quickly, everyone, what would be the answer? Or like you can send your answers in the chat box. Anybody would like to just take a shot and give the answer? What kind of a word are we looking for?
Ma'am, contrasting.
Contrasting, that's fine. So what is the tone? What are we trying to say? Okay, I've received mixed reviews here. A or E, A or E, A, B, B is also an option. So we have three options in front of us, given all the options. So disappointing, mixed, inconclusive. So out of this, let me tell you, inconclusive is not correct. Yes, so anybody who chose E, inconclusive is not correct, because inconclusive ends up meaning that there was no conclusion per se, right? And we are not talking about something that had or that garnered no reaction at all. There was a reaction, but then the final result was something which was unexpected or the opposite of what was expected. Inconclusive completely goes away. Yes. Now we are left with A and B, disappointing and mixed. So, though the initial reviews were disappointing, okay, the correct answer here would be disappointing and not mixed. Who will tell me why?
Ma'am, I think by saying mixed, it is indicating to both, like good or bad.
Correct.
Yeah. And
Yes.
after comma, it is saying very precisely that it ultimately gained a large following.
Yes. So a very different thing is happening. An unexpected thing happened.
Yeah.
And then, of course, here comes in context as well. The context is then we are also mentioning, and it is being elaborated that it achieved cult status and all of this. So all of these explanations, extended explanations, are telling us that initially this thing did not work out. And then, to everyone's surprise, it ended up working out in a very different way. That's why disappointing would be a better option. If it's mixed, then you wouldn't go on to elaborate so much about why it became successful or it had gained fan following and other things, right? So disappointing would be a better choice. Next one. So, Arif, can you just read out the question, please?
Yes, ma'am. The politicians' attempts to downplay the scandal were dashed by the media, who continued to run stories about the incident daily. The
Right,
options are lauded, embraced, thwarted, and supported and anticipated.
right. Now, what would be the answer? Lauded, embraced, spotted, supported, anticipated. This one's pretty easy. It's right there in front of us. People have already answered. Yes, this should be a no-brainer. Okay. And for those who do not know the meanings of certain words, that means we have to work on our vocabulary. The correct answer here would be thwarted. Yes. And what does thwarted mean? Yes, Yashna?
To crush completely, just to stop.
Right. Yes. So the politicians' attempts to downplay the scandal were thwarted by the media. And this question happened to be easy because the rest of the other ones were going contrary to this word. So it was pretty easy to decipher. Next one. Now, very quickly, Achint, can you read out the question for me?
Yes, ma'am. Despite the chef's blank reputation, he proved incapable of managing a large kitchen staff. A. Eminent, B. Spotless, C. Mundane, D. Stellar, and C. Checkered.
Correct. So very quickly, what would be the answer? Right. Okay. So I'm getting two answers here, eminent and stellar, A and D. Anybody else has any other word in mind? D. Okay, all right. So half people are saying A, half of you are saying D. Okay, B, spotless. All right. So here the correct answer would be D, stellar. Okay. Despite the chef's stellar reputation, he proved incapable of managing a large kitchen staff. Now, why stellar and not other words?
Ma'am, eminent itself means reputed.
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Eminent itself means reputed.
Correct. So, why is
So,
eminent not the answer?
because but it's already given that chefs an adjective of its reputation.
That is, see, this is a noun. That is an adjective. What's a part of speech हो जाएगा?
Means because we are talking about its reputation, we cannot say that eminent will be there. It's
Hmm.
we are talking about his stellar reputation. Means we are talking about its reputation. That's why.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Okay. So here, of course, eminent as a word or as an adjective would mean that, okay, yes, somebody is distinguished. However, here we are looking for an adjective that is talking about somebody's performance, that is mentioning what we are trying to talk about. We are trying to talk about efficiency. Yes, spotless again would not make sense because we are not talking about somebody doing something that is going to bring disgrace or going to go in a wrong way. Yes, there is no negative publicity that is going to go about. We are looking for a very simple word that goes on to talk about how uh, how let's say how perfectly they end up working or how they have gained a lot of name, and despite all of that something went amiss, right? So what, when we talk about stellar, so we are trying to say that okay, yes, this person happens to be famous, they are known for that particular thing, but then despite that they ended up performing in a very contradictory manner, right? So the correct word would be stellar. Clear? Now somebody asked me what is the meaning of checkered. So who will tell me?
And checkered means something which is alternating in character.
Okay, and can you explain that?
This means if we say someone is checkered in character means something he's means unpredictable character. He has unpredictable character. Maybe
Right.
shit.
Correct. More so, something which raises questions. Sketchy. You know, at times we end up saying this person is sketchy. So anything that is raising questions, that is a little not so clear. Yes, that is checkered. Clear, Priyanka? Right? Now we move on to multiple questions, multiple blanks. So now what happens in multiple blanks? Okay, very important. It is going to become more difficult. I just told you that here now we do not have just one word to look for. We have to make sure that our combinations end up going right. So they have to be logically and tonally consistent. Yes, so there not only there has to be a logical coherence, tonality also needs to match. So let's say if you end up having multiple words in your choices, tonality is other thing that you will have to look for. ऐसा नहीं होगा that you know one word is very formal, the other one happens to be pretty informal, or let's say one word happens to be um, very difficult. Let's say it's at B2 C1 level of vocabulary. The other one in the combination goes on to directly a very basic A2. That will not happen. So in a way, there will be an essence of parallelism. Yes, so what is parallelism? No matter how many components are there in the sentence, they are going to follow a certain rhythm, perhaps a certain tense, a particular figure of speech. That is the concept of parallelism that it revolves around. So here in the sense that your word combinations are going to have some interrelation of sorts. They're not going to be completely north and east. Sorry, north and south. Okay. Then, of course, no partial marks. Again, this thing I'll repeat very clearly. Do practice text completion because you do not get any partial marks. Yes. And then, this is very important. Please read the whole context. So, multi-sentence, in multi-sentence questions, make sure that you reread your question twice and thrice, just in case you are not able to grasp the whole sentence. What is the essence of it? Rephrase it. First, think on your own, then look at the options. Do not start with looking at the options and then trying to fit them in. That is a very wrong method. Yes, it does help out at times when you're sort of in a panic and you quickly want to solve a question. It might work out in sentence equivalence. However, I personally suggest that do not try that in text completion. Okay? All right. Now, find triggers for each blank. Subject, object, contrast, cause. So, we have already discussed how contrast can show up. Yes. At times there can be an interrelation, so look for phrases that are establishing causation. Subject and object are also important. What is the subject of this sentence? How is it relating? Am I continuing with the object if there are multiple sentences, or in the same, like where is my attention going? So these are some of the aspects that you have to look for in order to get the correct combination. Is it clear to everyone? Yes? So now we'll be solving questions again. Yes? So the professor's lectures were so and disorganized that it was hard for students to stay dash throughout the class. And now you have 5 combinations in front of you. Usually in your exam, you are going to get, let's say, after so, that will be blank A, after stay, that will be tagged as blank B. And then you'll be given 5 options for blank A, 5 options for blank B. For now, because we are warming up and we are starting off, I have already made certain combinations for you. Okay, I already have the answers here. Okay, I can see someone is not able to see the PPT, so I guess, dear, you have to log in again once because others are able to answer. So that means there could be a connection issue. Unanimously, everybody has chosen option B. Majority have. So rambling and attentive. Okay, I can see 1 or 2 people choose another option. So the professor's lectures were so. Option A has also been chosen. Now, something cannot be engaging and then disorganized. We are talking about students. It was very difficult for the students to stay focused. So we have to look for a word that is talking about a lot of confusion that is happening. That would be rambling. The professor's lectures were so rambling and disorganized that it was hard for students to stay attentive throughout the class. All right. Again, focused, yes, looks like a very good adjective, but then again, I guess what you ended up doing, whoever chose A, was that you focused the blanks in isolation. Exactly, that is something that you should not be doing. Also, we need, when we have a better word, for example, here we can say, let's just take a look at the options for blank B. Okay, so let's focused, attentive, alert, interested, uninterested. Between focused and attentive happens to be the better word here because it's a direct derivative of being in attention, being present. So if we have that word, then we're not going to choose focused. So in case you people do get caught up with words and you see 2 very closely falling synonyms, always choose the better one because the essence also is heat. All right. Next one. So very quickly, Vishal, just read out the question.
Yes, ma'am. Although the scientist's hypothesis was initially met with dash, it eventually received dash from her peers after further experiments confirmed her findings.
Right. So again, this one's pretty easy. The combinations here are very apparent. Right now, I have not made these examples very tough. So here, your combinations happen to be pretty easy. Yes, do remember this thing. This is because we are just warming up. We are starting off with the pattern, with the format. As we practice further, the questions are going to get tougher. Okay. I also see combination. Okay. All right. So majority have chosen option A, skepticism and acclaim, a very good combination, yes. Because we look at our words, we are looking for a sentence that talking about how initially there was a lot of reservation as to whether this thing is right or wrong, and then later on it gets proven, and so there is a lot of recognition that's coming alongside that. So skepticism and acclaim happens to be a good pair. I can also see enthusiasm and condemnation being chosen as an answer. Now, obviously, they cannot be the answer. This is the exact opposite of what the sentence is trying to say. Yes, you cannot be enthusiastic about something and then it can receive condemnation, because the further sentence is saying that further experiments confirmed her findings. If somebody's findings are getting confirmed, their experiments are proving right, then they won't be condemned. They'll be praised. So there is no chance of any rejection at a later stage. So
Yeah, ma'am,
again,
talking about the second blank,
hmm,
like what you said that there can't be any rejection sort of in the second blank, which I understood from the last word, which is confirmed her findings. Is that correct?
yes, right? Because there is an extension that is given in the sentence.
Yeah.
Let's say that confirmed her findings was also not given. For a second, let's imagine that this phrase is taken away. And then we have our sentence still further experiments itself. So there was this another thing that I had said in the previous sessions, which was that in case you find yourself at a point wherein you see a very ambiguous statement in front of you, which can be interpreted in multiple ways. So in that scenario, always deem that the direction of the sentence is going to go in a positive direction. So from negative, you move to positive. That is how usually your sentences are read. Very rarely, if your sentence already had something. For example, if there was a negative uh, thing written further, or let's say initially something positive was written, and then you know that, okay, yes, this is going from a positive to a negative direction. Otherwise, in general, if let's say you find the sentence ambiguous also, always you'll move from the minus point to the plus point. That is the general flow of a sentence.
Got
All
it.
right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, next one. Despite his dash manner and reputation for being dash, the author was surprisingly dash when it came to discussing his personal life. This one is good. Some people are not answering at all. All right. So unanimously, not unanimously per se, I'll say majority have chosen option A, which happens to be correct, that despite his reserved manner and reputation for being private, the author was surprisingly forthcoming when it came to discussing his personal life. Now, one person has also said that option E also feels like a good option, quiet, shy, and open, right? So why is E not a perfect fit? Who can tell? Why not E?
Ma'am, manner cannot be quiet.
No, quiet can be used as an adjective. Manner happens to be a fitting noun. In a quiet manner, they did this. Yes, ended the they did the wedding in a quiet manner. That can very possibly be a combination.
Ma'am, I think the option is not E because the first two option in E is quiet and being shy, and the third option says that it is he is being open. So like
Hmm.
it is too much of a like very opposite. Like it's a very steep shift, I would say. And if we
Okay.
look at the A option, in that it goes gradually. Like a person can be reserved and as well as private, but when in an event he can become forthcoming while not being completely open.
Right. So here what is happening? Two things will happen. Okay. First and foremost, when we look at these words, we have to understand that quiet and shy happen to be more so personality traits. And then when we talk about open, so there was this particular moment, and when he was revealing a lot of information. So, first of all, there is a little bit of discrepancy when it comes to how these words are perceived. Second, now again, I had told you this thing that there has to be the concept of parallelism. If we look at our entire sentence, we see a particular level of language being used. This is easily B1 to B2 level of language that has to be used. And I had told you this thing, but that won't happen, that your entire sentence is going to go in a particular way, and then your blanks are going to fall in a different category. Even if I do end up using these words here or fitting these words here, are these three words doing justice to how the entire sentence has been constructed? No, because the sentence happens to have an elevated writing style. So we have to look for words that fall parallelly, perfectly into the structure. Hence, reserved, private, and forthcoming end up being more suited or the perfect words for this entire sentence. So this is what I meant when I said that the concept of parallelism will also prevail. Yes, these are very simple words, not that layered, and they fall in the A1, A2 category of vocabulary when we talk about set levels. The entire sentence, however, is in an intermediate to complex way of writing. So we need words that do justice to that level.
Now,
Yes,
so if the option would have been the E1, so like then the sentence structure would be a different in like in the
yes.
comparison
Your
level of
sentence,
language.
your sentence would be very easy.
Okay.
All
So
these words won't be there. You would simplify it, and then of course you can paraphrase it, look at your sentence, and then think, okay, my sentence would have been comparatively very easy. The setup and the whole context of the sentence would be informal and not formal. Got it? So these are the basic things. This was of course more of a warm up for us. So what are our key takeaways when it comes to text completion? Never choose before predicting. Okay, so first predict, just look at your sentence, think, then look at your options. First thing you have to do. Don't take blanks in isolation. Next important thing. As in when you're solving multiple blank questions, you are going to get multiple options A, B, C, D, E. Do not take them in isolation. The entire sentence must flow in tandem. Context is everything. So at times, like we just discussed, we saw it right now, yes, happening. Context is going to be everything. You might find a very good fit, but then you'll have to take a look at the context. What is the overall context? What is the complexity that I'm looking for? What is my sentence conveying? And then based on that, you're going to choose your fit. And last, of course, if you get stuck in a situation wherein you do not really know the meanings of the words, which happened while we were doing this, for some people, use the concept of elimination straight away. Is this bit clear to everyone? Yes?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, in the question before this,
Hmm.
there was an option B. And can this be another possible perspective?
Flamboyant, gregarious, and taciturn. Why?
Ma'am, because his manner is flamboyant, reputation is gregarious, which I just checked that it means sociable.
Hmm.
And then taciturn, I checked that it means he became a little bitter when
Right.
it came to discussing his personal life. So can it be another possible combination?
See, now here, when we talk about flamboyant and gregarious, yes. So now when we talk about flamboyant, what is happening? It is more of, see, flamboyance is more of an exaggeration usually. Yes, it's a superlative adjective that comes in. If I simply look at the structure of the sentence that, okay, yes, I need the combination of words, two could be positive, the last one could be negative. If I simply follow that particular structure, then maybe I can say that, okay, yes, uh, this could be a possibility. But then look at the word that is there, surprisingly. Yes, we have an adverb. Now, usually in any scenario, when do we end up using surprisingly as an adverb?
Then we're shocked, like, um,
It's not entirely a shock, it's more of a pleasant surprise, right? Surprisingly is usually used in a very positive sense. So the general sense of the sentence, if supposedly I'm not even looking at the words at the moment, could be very easily that, okay, possibly this sentence, like this is a basic prediction that I'm making when I'm simply looking at the sentence, not looking at my words, that maybe we're simply talking about somebody who is reserved, but then when it came to discussing something related to their personal life, there was a surprise. My clue word here happens to be surprisingly.
got it, ma'am.
That won't fit with taciturn. Got
Got
it?
it.
So those combinations also need to be looked. So we not just look at one or two words, the whole sentence comes together. So sense भी अपनी जगह पर है, but then this third point remains intact. Context becomes everything. Is this clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes? All right. So with this, our discussion on text completion is over. Now we shall be solving certain exercises. All right. Okay. Just a second.